So then, we are back with more understandings from the Renewed Covenant, from the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation is from the original documents of the prophets of old, the prophets of Israel. And the Yahweh, the Creator, has decided to have His nation then as a people that would give then the prophecies of the end. So then the nations of the world would understand where the Creator stands at. Understanding this end of times and the political unrests around the world, it's very imperative for then the nations that are responsible and very prone for trade understand then the plan of the Creator so they can line up themselves for the best, and then also promoting trade and organization and rebuilding around the world. There are reports that came on papers stating the IMF is predicting another crisis around the world, and the predictions are very true from many years ago, and that we must take the proper steps to avoid such crisis. During this time our country is going through political change. It is very important, indicating the imperative reunion of China and the leaders of the Middle East for a private talk, secret talk amongst those nations and come to an understanding prior of the election in the United States. It's extremely important. Every prediction of the papers and the organizations, they have reputation, they are predicting crisis. Global crisis because of wrong decisions made. And the candidate of the United States is not understanding the end of time. He's not understanding the prophecies. And he's making the wrong moves already. It is very imperative for those countries to come together and have a diplomatic talk per China's leadership. They are the factory of the world. It's extremely important. Read the papers, read the input of the IMF and their predictions and the crisis they are predicting. It's very important. Our country, unfortunately, is again making the wrong moves. And it is enticing more crisis in the world. It's very important making sure the countries in the Middle East, they come together for a talk, having China as the leadership. So they can establish a route and then a pathway for more trade, bringing peace to the region. It's extremely important. Because here in the United States already has this mighty and high junk, and it's going to cause even more wars and disasters. There is not a moment of waste. And the indication from Scripture indicates very clearly the trades country of the end taking leadership. It's very important this time understanding the unrest in the Middle East and then the religious, political mixture of it is extremely important, having the leaders out of those countries and having them come together for a talk. Only the Middle East and China as then the primary people, the leaders to lead then this last day's trade. It is very important. It must be done before the elections in the United States. Because there are plans for evil coming from this country. We must understand the concept and the context of the entire enterprise. Try to understand we are a broken country and we must rebuild. And they are thinking and using forceful means to get the policies reinstated. It's going to bring disaster. We are already interfering in South China Sea. We shouldn't be there. This reunion must take place before the elections. So then the entire Middle East and the factory of the world, China, they can come up with a plan and then establish themselves. And then Israel also must be part of this plan. Understanding the importance of trade and bringing peace to the region. Must have a policy of trade. We don't have any trade in this country. Why are we imposing our policies for? What kind of a benefit the world is gaining by having our policies? We don't have any more trade. Our manufacturing is nearly non-existent. It doesn't provide what is required to get the nations building and rebuilding. We don't have enough quantity. Our labor is very expensive and the final product very expensive. It's not worth it. As the nations of the Middle East, they come together for a talk and they are diplomatic, then making deals, then whatsoever they request as help to build their countries, then they have the backing from the military. Their trade, their cargo then is escorted, promoting peace in the area. And the situation with Iran, they can deal with it because they are producing electricity. That's the reason for it. If there is nuclear idea in the midst of it, they can resolve it. As long as trade then is established. China must make the move. They can't wait for very long. They don't have much time. This deal must be established before the election in the United States. It's time to invite those leaders of those nations and come together for a talk in China. So they can establish an idea, a plan, a route, a map to get the trade then established. Whatsoever then the companies, they come together and they have an idea, they have a plan of expansion and a plan of trade, a plan of rebuilding, then the military can back them up. As they receive their cargoes, then the military is there to protect them. As per the reunion, as per the documents signed, as per then the diplomacy, then they receive what they paid for. And China is always generous. They're always helping other countries with no means, and then later a deal can be done. Our country is already devising ideas and schemes that are going to destroy the global market. We don't have any plan of expansion, any plan of manufacturing. We are only interfering with the world's system. There is no backing up of the reason. There is no reason for the United States to be involved in the world system. We are not exchanging our presence for any kind of trade or the manufacturing. We don't have it anymore. It's a time for rebuilding. Our policy is already being rejected around the world. China must be courageous and do it because they are on the scripture. They must make the move. They must believe what Yahweh told them. They are the very final country of the trade of this world. They must understand the prophecy and do as such. They have the backing up of Yahweh. But they must act and decisively do what they must do the best, trade. And don't be afraid of the other countries. Invite those leaders for a talk. They are absolutely in shambles. It would be an honor having a country never involved with a war before, in terms of invasion, and receiving help, receiving then plans for expansion and construction and rebuilding. It is a time for rebuilding. Invite those leaders of the Middle East for a talk in China. And don't be concerned with the West. Simply don't be concerned with them. And then afterwards, let each nation involved in this reunion voice out their opinions. Each country then say, this is what they want. The other country, this is what they want. The other country, this is what they want. The other country, this is what they want. And they have a deal and they receive what they want. But it must be fast and decisive.